Hey friends, welcome back to another pottery tutorial. So I finally made an extra large mug for all of you big coffee and tea drinkers. This is a pretty simple one. This is very suitable for beginners. So let's get into it. So first thing you need to do is piece together the two parts of C14. These parts just had to be printed separately because they're a little bit too big for one page of paper. Next, we're going to roll out some clay here. So I started with 1.4 kilo of clay, but I'm definitely not going to be using that much. I think at the end I used about 600 grams of clay. So you always need to start out with a bit more when you're working with slab pottery because you need to, have some extra that you can cut off. So first I'm going to start rolling out my 1/2 centimeter slab. We're going to be using the 1/2 centimeter slab for C14 and C15. And then I'm going to use my scraps and I'm going to wedge them up really good again so that there's no air bubbles. And I'm going to roll those out at 1 centimeter. So this is for the handle. This is C16. And I really just like to make the handles a little bit thicker. If you prefer a thinner handle, you can also use a 1/2 centimeter slab for this as well. But yeah, this is what I prefer. And then after that, as usual, I'm going to put my slab pieces in front of the fan. I really like to put my pieces in front of the fan for about 10 minutes. This helps them to firm up and, not be so floppy when I'm working with them. Okay, first we're going to start with building the body of the mug. So you want to work with the large rectangle first, and we're going to be attaching these two shorter edges of the rectangle. So you want to cut those edges at a 45-degree angle. I have this little tool here, but you can use a knife or anything that you have. Then you want to score, and if you need to, you can add some slip here as well. My clay was fresh enough that I didn't need to. And I'm just going to overlap those two angled pieces and blend. And don't forget to blend also the inside. Once that's good to go, we're going to attach the bottom here. So as you'll notice, the bottom is a bit larger than it needs to be. This is intentional because you always want to attach first and then trim to size. So I just marked where it's going to sit on this little round slab and score. And once again, you can slip if necessary and just attach. And this is how I like to attach bottoms. And if you have any extra scoring lines on the inside, I just use a little bit of water and a paintbrush to smooth those out. And then you can go ahead and trim off the excess. And blend, of course. This part needs a bit of blending. Okay, and then the fun, exciting thing here is I have included a handle guide. So this guide will perfectly make the exact handle that I'm making here. You can, of course, be as creative as you like to and make your handle any which way you want. But if you want one that looks like mine, go ahead and shape your handle piece according to the guide. And then hot tip, you want to apply your handle over the seam. So if you saw, I'm pointing to the seam right there, this will help disguise your seam and make your pot look a little bit more professional. Then you'll want to mark where the two sides of the handle attach so that you can score that. So you want to score both sides as always. So we're going to score the body of the mug and the handle where they attach. And secure it as best as you can. So my handle was a little bit floppy, depending on the dryness of your clay and like the grog content and all these other things. Your clay might be more or less floppy in this stage. So if your clay is floppy like mine was, all you need to do is support it with some sponges. And if it's really, really floppy and the sponges aren't enough to hold up your pot, you probably want to let your handle dry out a little bit more so it can, hold itself up. And by the way, you also saw me cleaning up extra scoring lines with the paintbrush again. That's what I was doing there. So that's all we're going to be doing today. I will cover the pot with some cloth and tomorrow we'll finish with the cleaning up. I always like to let my pot dry out a little bit so that it's quite firm and, can withstand some rough smoothing that will be a lot more thorough than you can when the pot is wet and somewhat floppy. So at this point, you just want to smooth it out as best as you want to. Like, at any point you can say, that's good enough. I don't mind some fingerprint marks, or, you can get really, really particular and make your pot as factory made as you possibly want to. Yeah, that is just up to your preference. So our pot is done now. So I'm going to let it dry out for about a week and then I'm going to load it into the bisque kiln. I'm just using a simple white glaze on my mug. Wiping off the bottom so it doesn't stick to the kiln shelf, and then back into the kiln it goes. And here is the final result. I think this mug is so cute. It's just like such a classic shape. The handle itself is like really generous. You can hold it with your whole hand, or it's also big enough to slide your hand through and, cozy up on a cold day with a nice cup of tea. Assuming that you print at 100% and your clay shrinks about 10%, this mug will fit about 450 milliliters. That's just shy of half a liter, and it sits at 11 centimeters tall. So this is a very generous mug for all of your cozy afternoons with the upcoming winter. I hope that you're in a cozy and warm spot. The template will be linked down below in the description, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, friends. Well, hey friends, welcome back to my latest template. I'm really excited about this one because it's a very simple design, but it's just such a nice shape and it feels so nice in the hand. So just like my other templates, I do recommend you print at 100% scale. That's the size that it was designed for, and that's how you're going to get it as close to the cups that I have. But of course, just like all my other templates, you can size them up or down. By now, you know the drill, just cut them out. And for this template, we're going to be using one piece of each template shape. So T1, T2, and T3, you should cut out one of each of these. Tips for rolling out a slab. Well, I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it is so important. You want to use thickness gauges. I'm using a 1/2 centimeter thickness gauge. 1/2 centimeter is about 1/4 of an inch. And you want to roll out slowly, flipping as you go. And always, always, always compress your slab at the end. So here I am cutting out the pieces with a needle tool. And I do recommend you putting them in front of the fan for about 5 minutes is what I do, and I'll flip them halfway through. This way the template pieces are not super wet and they're not like as floppy as they otherwise would be, but it does depend on your clay and your climate. This is just what works best for me. So we're gonna start with the main body of the cup, and for this you want to connect the two ends, and I do recommend you cutting them at a 45-degree angle. I've got this nice little tool here, but of course you could also just use a needle tool or a knife, and you want to score them. If your clay needs it, if your clay is a little bit on the dry side, you might want to add some slip here, but I can just stick my pieces together because my slab is still pretty wet. So the great thing about cutting them at an angle here is you can see that we're having more overlap, which is going to create a much stronger seam in the end because you just have more surface area touching here. And what's great about this is that the seam should more or less disappear if you blend it long enough. And of course, don't forget to blend the inside. Okay, so we're going to move on to the base now. And with this template, as with all of my templates, the base is designed to be slightly bigger than it needs to be, and that's because you want to attach it first before cutting it out. So I'm just going to attach it here. I'm marking where it's going to sit, and then once again, I'll score both sides and stick them together. Next, you want to set that aside for a moment so it can homogenize, and in the meantime, we can work on the ring foot. So this is just like a mini cup, so we're just going to attach the ring foot exactly the same way. You want to cut each end at about a 45-degree angle and score and press together, slipping if needed. With these little guys, you do have to be more delicate for sure. Okay, we're going to set the ring aside now, and we're going to smooth out the main body of the cup. So you can see here there's not the best seam on the inside, so you can use a tool like this, a little rounded tool. I think of this tool as like a finger without a fingernail, because I would like to do this with my finger, but the fingernail will tend to scratch. So I really love this tool for things like that. And I also really like to go in with a paintbrush. That can really smooth out any cracks. So we're going in with a needle tool now to trim the base, and important here, you can notice the angle that I'm holding my needle tool. I'm kind of continuing that line all the way down and smoothing the base into the wall. You could cut it perfectly, but smoothing it in here does really help strengthen the seam. So I like to use any extra clay to smooth that in. And then we're gonna go back in with a straight edge rib to kind of carve off any extra bumps here to make that line really nice and perfect. You want to smooth here as much as you can, because this is the last time you're gonna have really easy access to the base because we're about to add the foot. So just make it up to the standard that you like. For adding the foot, you guys know the drill. Score both sides and put pressure to attach. I found smoothing the foot in a little bit tricky just because of the angle, so it's kind of hard to get your finger in there. Once again, my wooden tool came in handy, and I definitely wanted to smooth out the inside with a paintbrush. Okay, now it's just final touches. I want to make sure that the lip of my tea bowl is really nice and smooth so it feels really pleasant against the lips. And any imperfections you want to smooth out now before we let it dry. This design is just so nice. I just love it so much. It's my favorite. I am developing a few different templates right now, and this one is definitely my favorite. So for drying, of course, this very much depends on the weather in your area, like the humidity and the temperature. I always like to spend the first night with these pots underneath some plastic or some cloth so that they can slow down the drying. I will leave the cloth on for 24 hours. And what I forgot to show you guys is that I did flip them after that 24 hours. So I removed the cloth and then I flipped them upside down. You definitely want to do this because that's gonna help with any issues like cracking later on. You want to make sure it's drying evenly on all sides, including the bottom, and that's why we always flip. Okay, and then I'm just going to bisque them as usual. I'm doing a couple of different glazes and I will put them into the final fire. So if you're curious, this is stoneware clay and I'm bisquing at 900 degrees Celsius and doing my glaze fire at 1240. That's just what works for me, my clay, and my kiln. But of course, it depends on the clay and glazes that you're using, how you're going to fire. And here's the final result. I mean, I've just been gushing about these templates the whole time, but I really do love them. I think that they're so cute and I love how nicely they stack together. Oh my gosh, so cute. I will have this new template available for you guys down below in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you love this template as much as I do. Till next time, bye friends.